Juliette will always remember the day she met her future husband. She was a young girl at the time.
I got married when I was 14, a really young age. At the time, I was always cooking and with the kids at home. I didn't have the possibility of going out to study. From being a girl, I became a mother, and it was very hard. I didn't know what a boy was, and suddenly I had two of my own.
From living in the Gaza Strip, Juliette was whisked away to Rahat, a Bedouin city in southern Israel's Negev desert. The Bedouins are tribal nomadic Muslim Arabs who live throughout the Middle East and North Africa. But only 2 years after they married, Juliette decided she could no longer be a second wife and divorced. Years later, she would remarry, this time to a single man.
There are only two reasons a woman would agree to her husband marrying a second woman. Either she doesn't love him or she wants to get rid of him because he's driving her crazy. There's no woman who wants to see her husband with another woman.
Juliette is one of many women in Rahat who've experienced polygamy. It's difficult to know exactly how widespread the practice of polygamy really is, because not all marriages are reported to the authorities. But the latest government figures state that at least 20% of Bedouin families are polygamous. Though the practice is illegal in Israel, the government mostly turns a blind eye. One member of parliament, Taleb Abu Arar, is even openly married to 2 women. Still, the tides are beginning to shift, thanks in part to activists like Insaf Abu Shareb, one of the Bedouin community's first female attorneys.
The Israeli government's decision in January 2017 to deal with the phenomenon of polygamy was thanks to my efforts. It's only in the past year or so that people have been indicted on charges of polygamy. 15 indictments have been filed, something which never happened before. There was no law, no punishment, nothing, and people did what they wanted.
Although polygamy predates Islam, according to the Quran, a man is allowed to have up to 4 wives.
The Quran lays out conditions for polygamy. For instance, when there is a war and many men are killed, lots of orphans are left. In this context, where there are fewer men, a man is allowed to take a second wife. Unfortunately, and in my view, the majority of men who today have several wives in truth set a very negative example. The man sometimes becomes a victim of this practice. If not him, then his first wife. If not her, then the second wife. If not her, then the children suffer from his decision.
Sometimes, Bedouin women choose to enter polygamous relations for personal reasons. Like Echlam, who saw it as a way for her to become independent and pursue a career.
I am a second wife. In the beginning, my family was very much against the idea of getting married to someone who already had a wife. It was my choice. I feel as though I'm different from others in the community because I live in peace. You can't tell the difference between my kids and the first wife's kids. We eat together, we go out together. She lives next door and comes over freely. We live a normal life. We divide things this way. One day he's here, the next day he's with the other wife. If today he's here with me, he eats dinner, sleeps, goes to work the next morning, and comes back to his second family. But he still sees all the children.
Despite her positive experience, Echlam says she still wouldn't want her daughters to follow in her footsteps. That's because women in polygamous marriages suffer from high rates of domestic violence, depression, and sexual assault. For these reasons, many argue it's time for the Israeli government to put a stop to the practice, once and for all.
My biggest criticism is towards the government, because although the government comes and says we're against it, and although we're in a democratic country and it's actually illegal, they still haven't found a way to really have a kind of zero tolerance towards it.
From Rahat, Maya Margit reporting for the Media Line.